Okay, it's 3 o'clock. Let's go ahead and call the Millcreek Township General Authority meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any public comment on any agenda items? Changes, revisions? If not, next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from February 14th. Is there any changes, corrections, comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
A motion made by Mr. Olet, second by Ms. Williams. Any?
Ms. Mitchell.
Oh my gosh, I'm losing it. I am getting old. Miss Mitchell. Sorry about that. I think I'm getting stage fright with the red light there. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to item number 5, approval of bills. Mr. Zaszewski.
Yes, we've got a bill for general liability insurance. We've got 2 asbestos surveys, one for Bel Air and the other for the sandbar. And then we have 2 sets of legal bills from the non-basic solicitor services and the basic solicitor services. And it's my recommendation we pay the bills. You have copies.
Yep.
Yeah, we got it.
And you said the First National Insurance that's a general liability for Joe Roots and the Grasshopper? Or what is it? Is that what that is?
Yeah, I think that's, I think that relates to the general liability for the properties that the authority will be acquiring. So once they write it so that just that they insure the properties that we have, but it'll cover all of them as
Okay,
they get
gotcha.
acquired, so.
Okay, thank you. What's that?
In case we get a slip and fall.
Got it. Makes sense. Any other questions or comments? Okay, if not,
Mark, are we going to vote on these separately or together?
I think we just
vote on them together.
accept the motion to approve all of the bills at once.
So moved.
So moved, Ms. Clear.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Mitchell instead of Williams this time. Any other questions or discussion?
Yeah, I'm going to be voting no on a portion of the bills.
Okay.
So I didn't know if you want to do them separate or together.
Well, we have a motion and a second, so I think we have to have.
Okay,
have to
I'll
vote
just
on-
state the ones I'm voting against.
Okay, that's right. Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Bach?
I vote yes with the exception of non-basic solicitor services dated January 31st of '23, totaling 8 hours.
Okay, Ms. Clear?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes as well. Okay, moving on to item number 6, documents for the Bel Air closing. I'll turn that over to Mr. Shaw.
Yes, you have 3 documents before you that are necessary for the Bel Air closing documents. First is a tax exemption application. This is similar to what was approved with the prior properties that were purchased. It seeks to exempt the Bel Air property from property taxes while the authority owns the property. We're seeking approval to file and an authorization for the chairman to execute that document. If you want to do these separately, or we can do them as a group.
Why don't you go through all 3
Sure.
of them?
The second document is the purchaser's affidavit that's required for the title insurance needed for the closing on the Bel Air, which is scheduled for Friday. It's a standard document required by the title company to ensure that certain facts exist. We're seeking authorization for the chairman to be authorized to execute that document. The last document is the settlement statement, which is the settlement statement for the closing. It needs to be signed by the purchaser, and we're seeking authorization for the chairman to sign that document.
Okay. I have a question on the settlement statement.
Yeah.
If we receive the tax exemption, will that be retroactive to when we acquire it, or no?
No, they don't allow that to happen, so it's prospective only, unfortunately.
So whenever it's declared that
when the
go-
next, this would apply to the next tax year.
Okay.
That would come into effect. And I can't recall offhand if that's a July to
Okay.
June or what that cycle is. But, yeah, unfortunately, they don't take that into account,
Okay.
so it's just perspective.
And really, the only buyer's fee is 1% transfer tax. We're splitting the transfer tax.
Yes,
Everything else is pretty much paid by the seller, or is kind of de minimis.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the 3 Bel Air closing documents? Or if somebody would like to do them separately, we can do it that way as well, if there's an issue.
I'll make a motion to approve all 3 closing documents for the Bel Air.
I'll second.
Second. Okay, any discussion, any questions? No? If not, okay, we'll vote. Mr. Roulette?
I vote yes.
Mr. Bach?
I vote no.
Ms. Clear?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Okay, moving on to number 7, the Joe Roots bulk sale indemnification agreement. Mr. Shaw?
Yes, this is a document relating to that acquisition. The authority needs to sign to simply acknowledge its obligation to provide notices under the agreement if any claims are filed by the state relating to taxes imposed by the state as a result of the sale. Under the agreement, the sellers indemnify the authority for such claims, but they have to know about them. So this is just, the only reason you need to sign it is to commit to giving them that notice.
Understand. So it's a benign agreement from our standpoint. They're indemnifying us.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve the indemnification agreement.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Olet. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Any further questions or discussion? If not, we'll vote. Mr. Olet?
Yes.
Mr. Bach?
No.
Ms. Clear?
Yes.
And Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, moving on to item 8, due diligence period. First one is the sandbar.
Yes, the due diligence period for the sandbar is expiring on March 27th under the purchase and sale agreement. Based on the due diligence that has been conducted, which has both been a environmental phase 1 as well as an asbestos survey, it appears that there are not any significant issues to be concerned about that were raised as a result of those inspections. So at this point, there would be no action would need to be taken, and simply under the agreement, that time period would pass, and we'd then proceed. Next, I think, is the closing. I think it's 60 days from the expiration of the due diligence period. So just kind of letting you know that what we found, there's minor amount of asbestos in the sandbar. And then with respect to the Manor Motel, the due diligence period also expires on March 27th. So far, we have 2 issues that we need more time to evaluate. First, our environmental report found that there is an abandoned gas well on the property. It does not appear to have been plugged. We would still need to evaluate what would need to be done with that and identify what costs might be associated with plugging that if, in fact, it's not been plugged. And second, we've been having difficulty getting access for our asbestos inspector, and it's not clear that he'll be able to fully inspect the buildings before the expiration of the March 27 due diligence period. Based on these 2 issues, my recommendation would be to authorize extending the due diligence period for up to 60 days to allow that inspection to occur and to further evaluate the impact of what's found. And if the seller is not willing to extend the due diligence period prior to that expiration, the recommendation would be that the authority terminate the agreement unless the authority thinks that it's willing to assume the risks of the results of the asbestos survey, again, which we don't know what those are at this point, and whatever may need to be done with the gas well, which, again, we don't know at this point. And I think those 2 uncertainties are sufficient to walk away, and if he's not willing to extend the deadline, I'm not sure that risk is worth taking.
Comments from the board on that, on the recommendation from Mr. Shaw?
Solicitor Shaw, are you suggesting then that we table this?
No,
Oh.
what my suggestion would be is someone to make a motion to agree to extend the deadline by 60 days,
That's what I
but
thought.
that if he
Okay.
refuses to do so, that we would proceed to terminate the agreement under the due diligence provision.
Okay, that's how I had understood it. Okay, when I'd asked before. Okay, thanks. I thought I
Yeah.
heard something different.
Yeah, because, a building that old in terms of asbestos,
Yeah,
We don't know what we're getting
we don't
into.
know, and I mean, there's some grant opportunities that could help offset that, and those are all things that we can, work out or resolve during that extra period of time that we would need. That would also, I think, further extend the deadline for when you would close on that building as well. But at this point, the owner has not indicated a willingness or unwillingness to do so.
I'll make a motion to extend the due diligence periods.
I'll second.
And
I'm
you
sorry,
want to include in the motion that
And-
if he agrees not to extend, that we walk away from the deal? So
Yes,
Add that to the motion.
yes.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Bach, seconded by Ms. Clear. Any additional questions, comments?
This is just for the manor.
Just for the matter?
Just the matter, correct.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll vote. Mr. Roulette,
Yes.
Mr. Bach,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
and Ms. Mitchell.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Okay. I'm moving on to number 9. I see we have some citizens out here. Any citizens who would like to speak? If you would, please come up to the podium, just give us your name and your address, and you have a 5-minute time limit.
Tom Smith, 5936 Southland Drive, Erie, PA. I just have a couple concerns with, one about the demolition of the buildings. Has anyone talked to zoning, engineering about once these buildings are demoed, what will happen to a new developer coming in as far as stormwater management and stuff like that? And also, would it be maybe wise to keep some of the structures available for development so they may not have to spend millions of dollars on stormwater management? So has anyone talked to them about that, or?
This is comment time.
Okay, that's my one comment. Then, also then, I would like to know, as far as a comment, then, since you're not going to answer any questions, here's my other comment. Has anyone read any of the appraisals about demolition and keeping the buildings existing or not? So I'll assume no one has, because you're not going to comment.
Tom, I'll answer your questions. What are they?
Okay, well, I would like, Kim, if you guys were just going to sit there and not
Well,
answer some reasonable
Tom,
questions.
I think that question, it just, we need to.
Okay,
give
well,
you-
just say, Dave,
Yeah,
we
we just
haven't
give
talked to
you-
anybody, and then we will talk to engineer. Maybe it is a good idea, maybe keep
Yeah.
some
we-
structures.
yeah,
Correct?
We'll take it all under advisement.
Okay, that's
and
fine.
let you know. Yep.
You're looking at me like blank spaces, like nothing's gonna get done here.
Okay.
That's all, I'm just making a, hey, Kim,
That's fine.
are you gonna roll your eyes at me all the time? Maybe? Okay, well, thank you. And then also, I would like to know if, so, has Millcreek Township paid for any of the fees for attorneys and stuff like that, or is that all coming out of the general authority? And if they have, is the general authority then going to reimburse Millcreek Township for their services, the attorney and stuff like that? So that's just another question that I had about that. So I just didn't know. And then, once again, I still am trying to figure out where the value of the sandbar property came from. I haven't heard, because there wasn't any appraisals or anything, and I've asked for records on that, and I'm still trying to find out how that number arrived. No one has indicated whether it was Altair negotiated with the owner, and, just trying to figure out where
I
that
mean,
number
you're in
came
the
from.
real estate business, I think that particular property was not for sale. So we had a
Correct.
real estate professional
Okay.
that's the price that we agreed upon.
Okay,
with folks.
that's a fair,
Yep.
that's all I was trying to figure out,
Yep.
since there wasn't
No problem, I
an
understand.
appraisal,
Yep,
so.
That's something I can answer. I couldn't answer your other question.
Okay, no. So then, I'm just trying to, so that was my main concern about maybe keeping the buildings and not rush to judgment to tear them all down right away, because they may be viable for development as far as when it comes to storm management and all that, so they're not having to start from scratch and maybe spend more money than they need to, so. That's it, thank you.
No, we appreciate it. Thank you, Tom. Okay, do we have any other citizens' comments? No? If not, we'll close that section. And is there a need for us to move into executive session? Anybody?
Nothing on my end.
No.
No. Ms. Clear? No?
I didn't know if we were going to move to discuss anything that we needed to discuss as the five of us regarding
We can,
any of the purchases or any questions any of us might have, that's all.
anything
We haven't had
regarding,
a meeting, the five of us.
or anything
in about
regarding
a month.
personnel or real estate?
It'd be about real estate.
Sure, we can take it.
I'm good. But you guys
If
can.
if you have any questions, so forth, that's appropriate for executive session, we can go into executive session for that.
Okay.
Okay.
We need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? We'll just go ahead and vote. Mr. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Bach?
No.
Ms. Clear?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Okay, so we will adjourn to executive session, and then we'll return to the meeting. We don't need a motion to come back into regular session.
Yeah, I was
We
going to
do?
make a motion to get out of executive session. Is that how I word that?
Second.
Second. Any questions on that? If not, we'll take a vote. Mr. Holette?
Yes.
Mr. Bach?
Yes.
Ms. Clear?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, we're out of executive session, back into the regular board meeting. That is all. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Oh, second.
So moved by Mr. Roulette, second by Ms. Clear. We'll vote. Mr. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Bach?
Yes.
Ms. Clear?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. We're officially adjourned. Thank you very much for your participation and time.